Hey everyone, welcome to Daily IELTS English. Today it's just going to be a slightly different video. I'm not going to talk specifically about the test, but I'm going to talk about English and learning English. I'm just going to review some of the philosophies that I use to teach my students and the philosophies that I use to learn languages as well. You hear me say a lot of things in my videos, and I just want to give a bit more information and context about what they mean. The first one, and this one I say in every video, language is a habit. And I sometimes will say it's not a skill. Now, I should clarify, yeah, you could say that it's a skill, but it should always be a habit first. So are you reading regularly? Are you listening? Do you speak? Do you write regularly? If you do, then you'll have better English or better French or better Spanish. I also hate this word, my English skill. It's a word that only English learners and English teachers, sadly, like English teachers say this word because they hear it from their students. When I was younger, when I was in university, when I was in high school, we never said, I want to improve my French skill. We said, I want to have better French. I want to speak better French. I want to improve my French. We never talk about French skills. So I really don't think it's a good way to express yourself. And that's one of the main things I just want to talk about is it's a habit. And to be a bit more clear on that, you need three things, three habits to improve your English or get a higher IELTS score. Language in, reading and listening. You can study grammar and memorize vocab all you want. It's not really gonna help as much as actual reading and actual listening. And today it's so much easier. Online, at the library, you can get books and newspapers for very cheap, if not free. You can get books that are designed for your level. So if you're not at a 7, you're at a 5 level in IELTS, you can get books at that level. I recommend these books by Cambridge University, graded readers, but there's also websites like ER Central that will have these. Another thing is reading the newspaper. That's a great habit. And I sometimes will have students after 2 months or a month, they're like, oh, teacher, I'm getting better, but not a lot better. I'm like, my first question is, are you reading? And they say no. And I say, please start reading. And I say that at the beginning. I say it every day. Read more, listen more. Language in, that's the first thing. The second thing, language out. So that's your writing, that's your speaking. Admittedly, that's a lot harder. Find a place to practice your speaking. Keep a journal, write to yourself. Anything, it's a really good way to improve that. I fully admit that's a lot harder. That's where you want classes. That's where a teacher is gonna help. And that comes to the third point, feedback. So you've had language in, language out, feedback. That's where you really want a good teacher. It doesn't have to be a great teacher. It just has to be a good teacher. A teacher who can listen to you, a teacher who can read your writing and see your tendencies and give you feedback based on that. So those are the three things, language in, language out, feedback, and that's about the habit of English. Secondly, the other thing that comes up all the time is, and I've heard this from students, I don't have ideas. So there's the problem, I don't have ideas, so the solution is find ideas. Where do you get that? See point 1, reading, listening. Read the newspapers, listen to the radio, in your language and in English. That's gonna help you get the ideas so that when you're in a conversation, when you're in your IELTS test, you can answer these questions without too much difficulty. Again, I've mentioned the newspaper before. I love it when my students show up to class and they've got their newspapers and they're reading it, like no joke. 2 weeks later, their writing vocabulary just improves. Like I can teach hundreds of words, I can teach all day, but it's when they start reading that the actual retention of the language is there. They remember the vocab. Start reading more, please. It's super cheap. It's super easy. If you don't have time or energy for writing and speaking, at least read more. The final point I do want to make is that you're not learning English. English is learning you. All right, that's really important. And that's the same for any language. French is learning me. German is learning me. What does that mean? I choose what I want to learn. I don't go to someone and say, what vocab do I need? I don't go to someone and say, what grammar do I need? I choose. I read books I want to read. I read newspapers I want to read. I watch TV in French or a language I want to learn, something I want to watch. It is so much easier to do this now as well. I can go on Netflix and watch movies or TV shows in other languages. 20 years ago, impossible. It has never been easier to learn a language. And so please take advantage of the internet. And that's the important thing. You choose. If you don't want to read the newspaper, if that's not important, great. Books. I've had students read Assassin's Creed novels. I've seen students read biographies of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Whatever you are interested in reading, read that. I understand that you think it should be serious. It really shouldn't be. If you're trying to memorize things because someone told you, you're not going to. Your brain does not want to do that. It does not want to remember that, and you're going to make it harder. So read something you're going to enjoy. But if I'm learning a language, I choose what I want to learn. And your brain doesn't want to learn a language. Your brain cares about food, oxygen, and sleep. That's basically the only thing it wants. If you're trying to learn a language, you're competing with those three things. So the only way it's going to work is if you're enjoying it, if it's engaging, if it's fun for you. So when you're reading, when you're listening, you choose. And then that's the best part. Now that you're reading something you like and you don't understand something, something's not clear, now you have a good question for your teacher. And now you can say, hey, I have a question. I read this. What does it mean? Or what's this word? I've seen it before, but I don't really understand it. Teachers love those questions. We love to we love to teach that stuff. We love to answer those questions. Our jobs are so much more fun and fulfilling when you come to us with those questions, if you have a good teacher. All right. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you liked this. Sorry, 9 minutes. That's a long time for you to listen. But yeah, that's really the key thing about this channel and these videos. Language is a habit. Language learns you and ideas first. That's in everything in these speaking videos. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.